morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Super Tees video. And Blizzard snuck in some additional class changes that weren't included on the last official update for us to review. These are just really good for keeping an eye on the trajectory of your spec moving into the next patch to make sure if it's going to be strong or weak. We also have some news covering player housing and what's going on with it, which I'm really excited to kind of explore with for the first time with you guys, because this seems to be a big update that's got a lot of people very excited to cover. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash the subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. But let's get started here. The following class changes have been added to the Ghosts of Koresh PTR. Rogues, you guys weren't forgotten. You guys just weren't on the list last time. 2-set bonus for subtlety. Deathstalker effects and damage increased to 50%, up from 30. Do note in PvP these set bonuses, because they're crazy strong. I think they're like 70+% nerfed in PvP. So this seems to be like a little bit of a set bonus tuning adjustment for you so far. For Trickster, your 2-set bonus, unseen blade damage increase and chance to trigger an additional time increase to 35%, up from 30. Your 4-set bonus, effectiveness of second coup de grace, increased to 150% from 100%. So a little bit of a tuning adjustment on your set bonuses, nothing major. Assassination is getting an 8% damage increase across the board, which is really solid. Deathmark still remains to be entirely countered, and depending on the meta, we see a lot of changes for Preservation Evoker. If Evokers are good and Paladins are good still, this 8% is not going to help you out too much. I was really hoping that they would introduce a PvP talent for Assassination and Outlaw, one that makes Deathmark less easy to counter, more playability around it, so it's not just immediately snapped off, or giving it some more juice. And then Outlaw, I was really hoping there would be something oriented around Killing Spree, because they're reworking the entire spell, but it doesn't look like either of those two things are happening. But that would be my dream situation for Rogue, is that you guys get some PvP talents that make your key abilities actually feel impactful and less easy to counter, because it's just so easy to do it at the moment. But for Outlaw, Killing Spree offhand shots no longer count as offhand weapon swings that deal half damage, so that's just buffing your Killing Spree damage. Killing Spree offhand shot damage increased by 25% as well to match the main hand shot damage. Net result in these changes is a 43% increased damage to Killing Spree. And Killing Spree at the moment is kind of working like Fury of the Eagle or Fist of Fury for Monk at the moment, where you kind of just go pew 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 with it. I feel like it's gonna need like some type of immunity to crowd control. That's what I was saying, a PvP talent to like juice it up, make it more interesting, make it less easy to just completely shut down, because it's gonna just be ridiculously easy to shut down these mechanics, because I think they've done a fair job of tuning down defense and cooldown reduction with these specs, making them unkillable. Now it's time to tune up and make some of their flashy spells feel really cool and impressive to press, so they can be more viable. It would be my dream for the patch, but I don't think we see that at the moment. Fixed an issue that would cause Killing Spree to be immediately canceled if the Fate-bound coin Tails was flipped. That's a really interesting bug. I often wonder, like, what type of bugs are in the game, man. I swear the entire game is a walking bug. Like, what? That seems so random. Like, what else is not working behind the scenes, really? For Warlock, they fixed an issue with your 2-set bonus, so your Eye Blast cast by Demonic Occult no longer deals its multi-target damage to its main target, so it seems like a little bit less damage from that. Demonology fixed an issue with Mana Forge Omega 2-set bonus. Eye Blast is now affected by Mastery, though. So they lowered its damage, but then made it effective by Mastery. Maybe they're trying to make Mastery a bit more competitive of a stat with this synergistically. For Soul Harvester, the Mana Forge Omega 2-set bonus has been updated. Soul Swipe now deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets, just AoE capping you. Fixed an issue with Mana Forge Omega 2-set bonus. Soul Swipe cast by Rampaging Demonic Soul no longer deals its multi-target damage to its main target. So just kind of reining in a little bit of your cleave damage here for Diabolist. Nothing major, at least for PvP, right? Oh my god, if these changes were going in PvP. Unstable Affliction, 25% damage buff, only in PvE, it's not in PvP. Shadow Bolt, 25% damage increase, but not in PvP. Drain Soul, 25% increase, but not in PvP. Haunt, 50% damage increase, but not in PvP. Haunt, though, now increases damage dealt to the target by 12%, up from 10. That will, so a little bit of a 2% damage increase, basically, on Affliction whenever you have Haunt on a target, which is definitely better than nothing, but you would have loved to get that juice. That's a lot of juice right there. For Demonology, Demonic Tyrant's Demon Fire damage has been increased by 60%, but not in PvP. Unfortunate, you're also getting a couple of these. Demon Bolt damage got a 35% buff, but not in PvP. However, Shadow Bolt will be getting a 55% increase. Wild Imp's Fell Firebolt will be getting a 15% increase, and Implosion will be getting a 15% increase. Now, I really miss Thalkeel's consumption from Demonology and Legion. I thought it was so cool to like build up this army and then consume them into the essence of this big fired bolt. I thought that mechanic was really cool. I thought Implosion was cool for the same reason, where you could choose to like sacrifice your sustained damage for a moment of burst and send your imps in for Implosion. I would really love to see Thalkeel's consumption make a return at some point. I'd really like Implosion to actually be a viable build as well. I don't know if 15% is enough to do that. It's probably not. But those are like two wish list things that I would like for Demonology right now. And I'm currently doing a 2400 solo shuffle challenge on all specs in the current season, and I'm getting pretty close. I think I'm down to like 10 remaining specs at the moment. I've burned through most of them, hoping I can get through the rest of them with this last bit of time before the season ends. But MOP coming out might interfere with that procedure as well, especially in Gladiator. But this might be one of the seasons where I actually do it. I always get within like 3 or 4 specs of completing it. Which is why I care about all the specs so much. Like I play them, I understand what makes them fun for me and cool for me, and I have like the personal kind of like introspection of the specs for what I would like to see them do to them. For Destruction, Incinerate, Conflagrate, and Chaos Bolt are all getting buffed 50%, 30, and 10, but not in PvP. So nothing major here except that Killing Spree is going to be hitting really hard. Demonology got a little bit of a minor buff, and Assassination got a bit of a minor buff with these remaining class changes. Makes me wonder why sometimes these don't go through. It's like, did they not submit their homework on time for the post and then they get it in the next day or something like that? Maybe, I don't know, but a little bit of a minor update. I think the big one though is this one right here for player housing, because player housing to me, it's like, they're really hoping that player housing is going to carry the expansion, I feel like. And I'm going to just readjust my webcam here really quickly for us. But they're really hoping this is going to carry the expansion, I think. And it's possible it does. You know, it's catering to the Roblox community, Minecraft community. It's a large community, and WoW doesn't really have anything offering to them as players. So it might be able to grab some new players that never played MMORPGs before if they can actually hit it on the head. Welcome home, adventurers, or in this case, welcome to the neighborhood, adventurers. That was a really good opportunity to do. What was that show with the guy with the puppets in the train? And he was always talking about in the neighborhood, and he had like this voice. Like, they could have done a quote there for sure. I can't remember what his name is, but so far in our series of articles, we've shared information, philosophy, decorating, rewards, but it's time to bring you to the neighborhood. Briefly mentioned in our first post, so this is going to be really important. It's a deep dive on how the neighborhoods are going to work. This is what's going to make sure that player housing is actually relevant for longer than a day, and then no one's there and it's a ghost town, which is the biggest concern I've had. The land is your land. As a quick refresher, homes in World of Warcraft are separated into 2 neighborhood zones, Founders Point for the Alliance and Razorwind Shores for the Horde. Each neighborhood is made up of roughly 50 plots of the same size, so you have 50 houses, all of which contain a house. We want players with different preferences for locations to find a plot that's perfect for them, be they vibe-based or looked for something for a specific character. Some plots are placed far away from everything for the hermits among us, while others are grouped together in small cul-de-sacs of 2 to 3 houses, perfect for a small group of friends. Other houses are in larger groupings for folks looking for more hustle and bustle. So you can get basically anything you want from this. I wonder if you get an entire neighborhood of hermits, though, and then they all racing for the hermit house. Like, how do you decide who gets what? Similarly, there's a variety of biomes in each zone, ranging from Founders Point spooky forests and autumnal farmland to the lush oasis and windswept bluffs in the Razorwind Shores. In neighborhoods, you'll find a dynamic central hub area full of NPC activity and endeavors. That's going to be important. What type of gameplay loop, powers, or transmogs, or whatever that's going to get us to come back to these zones, and they're not just going to be empty. An important consideration for us, and one of the reasons these zones are so big, is we want to give players ample space, partially because having a yard that you can decorate really lets people express themselves, but also because we wanted to make sure there's enough room between plots that players didn't run afoul of each other's yards. Oh, you're going to be able to customize the yard. You won't have to worry about your neighbor's old growth tree jutting through your delicately constructed hedge maze. They got screenshots. The art looks really good on this, at least for the Alliance houses. Oh no, Homeowners Association? Is this real? It's not just a question of where you choose to live, but who you choose to live near. That's important. And don't worry, there aren't actually any homeowners associations unless they choose to implement them. There's going to be that one guy, dude. There's always that one guy. Your grass is too long. Neighborhoods are persistent, so anyone you live near will be your neighbor forevermore. Oh God, permanent neighbors? Making this decision is important, though you can move at any time, so don't worry too much. Wait, it's your neighbor forever, but you can leave, so they're not forever. This allows your neighborhood to be customized, and you can work with other players to progress it together. There are two types of neighborhoods. Public neighborhoods. These are created as needed by the game servers, and anyone can buy a house in them as they fill up. New instances are created, so players looking for a house shouldn't see a message about all the neighborhoods being full. Public neighborhoods are run by the game as well, including naming it with a semi-procedural procedure. So you can pick servers. You can pick a player housing server. Organizing endeavors, again, see below, and keeping the neighborhood running however is needed. What if yours ends up just dying and your neighborhood's empty? Can you like transfer your house to a different neighborhood? Or you're just stuck there? Because this is going to have some dead neighborhood issues, I think. Private neighborhoods. These are created and owned by players, either by guilds or as a guild neighborhood, or by arbitrary groups of players as charter neighborhoods. This is probably going to be more commonly used. But I don't know. A lot of players are solo players. I could see this being used a lot. And I'd be worried about it being empty or something at a certain point. To create and maintain a private neighborhood, there's a minimum number of players, not characters, who must be in the guild charter as well. Eventually, a minimum number of players who must live in the neighborhood. This is due to technical concerns around server and database performance, as neighborhoods are significantly more complicated than a simple instance. Okay, so I was wondering if they were trying to like make it so guilds were relevant again. That could be a good way to make guilds relevant if you wanted to be in a neighborhood with them. Guild and charter neighborhoods have largely the same functionality. They can be named by their owners, and the names do not have to be unique, though they do have delimiters. Is this supposed to be delineations to differentiate them from one another? Players control who can live in them. For guilds, this is via the guild roster. For if a guild removes someone, the player will also be removed from the neighborhood. What happens to your house? Charters have manual control over who can live there via special UI. Does your house just get deleted? Like, does it go into a little capsule like a Pokemon and you can just blow it up in another neighborhood or something? There's a permission system for who can control these settings. Managing endeavors is the responsibility of the owner and managers. There's one big difference, however, between guild and charter neighborhoods. Guild neighborhoods will have homes available for everyone in a guild through additional attached instances, regardless of the guild size, while charters are limited to the maximum number of plots in a neighborhood. There's a lot that they took into consideration for this. I got some nice screenshots of the Horde. Doesn't look like Durotar, though. This looks like a Dragonflight zone. Why do we have like cactuses? This does not look, it looks like, I don't know what this is. This doesn't look 100% like Durotar. It's a little bit not there. Don't you be my neighbor? Two questions that we've gotten a number of times we want to quickly answer. What happens if I don't like my neighbors? We've designed this to be frictionless and straightforward, so you can just get up and move. Okay, so you can't put your thing in a capsule and leave. You can choose to relinquish a house at any time, at which point your house's state will be saved, ready to be unpacked with a click when you purchase a new house elsewhere. When you move out, there's a regret timer started, so if you change your mind before purchasing a new house, I thought you'd get them for free, you can move right back in. Once you buy a new place or the timer elapses, your old house will go back up for sale and another player can buy. It's worth calling out that if you are evicted from a private neighborhood, your house is also packed up. What is this buying a house? I thought this wasn't going to be pay to win when all get a house. Or it's going to be at one free house and then you got to get a WoW token to get another house. What is this? Can people just walk into my yard and house? It depends. We want your house to be your space and for you to feel safe there, but also recognize that some people are more social to that end. Both your plot and your house have independent permissions that can be set to allow or deny friends, guildmates, neighbors, or anyone. This lets you, for example, allow anyone onto your plot, but only friends and guildmates inside. Of course, these permissions can be changed at any time. If you want to make it private for a book club meeting in the afternoon and then open it up for a dance party at night, these permissions are frequently checked. So if you do change them, it will remove anyone whose permissions are no longer valid. I wonder if this is going to completely destroy Goldshire on Moonguard. Is this just going to replace it? Are we never going to be able to... Is Goldshire dead? This is the part where we talk about endeavors. Endeavors are neighborhood-wide activities open to anyone who lives in the neighborhood. Endeavors occur approximately once a month, and when a new endeavor becomes available, the neighborhood is provided with the opportunity to learn from various cultures and factions of Azeroth by completing different tasks. Players in private neighborhoods can choose from a selection of endeavors, though occasionally a set endeavor appears to highlight things happening in the world. In public neighborhoods, the game servers are responsible for choosing which endeavors are active. So endeavors sound like just World Quest events. Are they going to be like enough incentive to get people to do it? Each endeavor has a group of tasks that are collectively completed by the neighborhood. As tasks are completed, more NPCs from that area show up, making various themed decorations available for the neighborhood inhabitants, so it is cosmetic based as far as reward incentive, or when visiting players from other neighborhoods. And the neighborhood changes visually to be decorated in that faction's fashion. The number of tasks required scales with the neighborhood size, so a 50-player neighborhood will have to complete more tasks than a 10-player neighborhood. Similarly, if a neighborhood is less active, future endeavors for the neighborhood will also scale to the requirement down to accommodate. Okay, yeah, so if the servers die, like if your neighborhood dies and no one's living there, I guess you could just pack up and move. But I don't know if it costs money to buy the house, but it will also scale your ability to farm some of these cosmetics likely. The tasks themselves run the gamut of gameplay, from crafting to gathering to questing to completing dungeons or raids. No PvP though. Where's the PvP event, bro? We want there to always be a way for any given player to contribute to the endeavor, regardless. This is why I thought garrisons were lame, because I thought it would be cool if you could like challenge your friend to fight their garrison and like your followers attack their followers and you could duel them and try and. I thought like they just don't do any PvP stuff with this stuff anymore, man. Regardless of how they choose to engage with World of Warcraft, successfully completing tasks not only yields rewards expected from that sort of tasks gameplay, but also grants a new type of endeavor currency, which is shared across all endeavors, as well as neighborhood favor. Neighborhood favor is used to level up your house and earn rewards, while the endeavor currency is used to buy decorations from visiting NPCs. So there's going to be a renown system you can progress through, and it unlocks over time. Once enough tasks have been completed in an endeavor, the entire neighborhood is rewarded together. With the bonus, so you can just leech. With bonus endeavor currency and neighborhood favor, as well as the ability to purchase all the decorations at the NPCs, provided the players have sufficient. Okay, maybe you have to find the currency. Might have been able to fully leech. Our goals for endeavors are threefold: to give the neighborhood a common goal to rally around and to be rewarded for collectively. It feels good to complete things together. We want to encourage both synchronous and asynchronous play with your neighbors, to give neighborhoods a choice of how things are visually presented on a larger scale, and not just in individual player-owned plots. Introduce some asymmetry between neighborhoods to make visiting other neighborhoods more interesting. Oh, so you can visit other neighborhoods and participate in these endeavors and then take the cosmetics back to yours? How frequently are these happening? Are people just going to only exist in the neighborhoods? This is just the start of what we're planning for neighborhoods and endeavors. Having a large-scale, persistent multiplayer space and the ability for players to collectively contribute to is truly exciting for us, and we can't wait to build on it with you. What do you find most exciting? Keep the feedback coming, and we will see you next time. This is a massive undertaking. And that's my biggest concern, is that this just ends up being a ghost town, you know? Like, what happens when you complete the renown? What happens when you've got all the cosmetics? Are people just not going to... I mean, I guess the role players, they'll always show up, right? This has got to be, you know, targeted for them. And maybe that we'll see some, like, GTA-style role-playing, you know? Like GTA 5, and the role-playing there is massive. So you can imagine making, like, a neighborhood, and you could do some of that, you know, in your neighborhood, and you could do some RPing, maybe. There's some good opportunities there for that community. But I think as far as like a progression community, I don't know how they're going to indefinitely keep you interested in this, but it's keeping me interested, and I'm keeping up with the updates for sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Thank you guys very much for tuning into another Super Tease video, and I will see you in the next one.